A very good evening to all of you. On behalf of Section E2 of the Sri Lanka Association for the Advancement of Science, I would like to welcome all of you this evening to a very special webinar under the theme Sri Lankan Chemists in Focus. We have started this series of webinars at the start of this year, and we have had a perfect start with 3 outstanding academics who have excelled in chemistry, performing cutting-edge research world over. Today, we are taking a little twist by inviting a person that is completely in a different field in industry, but have excelled in every possible way in a very short period of time. On behalf of SLAS Section E2, it's my great privilege and honor to welcome Dr. Varuni Livera, who is joining us today to conduct this very special webinar. And again, on behalf of SLAS Section E2, it's my great privilege to introduce the speaker. So to tell a little bit about Dr. Varuni, she's from Sri Lanka, obviously, and she's from the town of Nugegoda, and she's saying that she hails from a family with no background in STEM, surprisingly, however. And she received her primary and secondary education from the Amila Jeewandara Nugegoda, and later on, she entered the University of Colombo to receive a BSc degree specializing in chemistry with a first class in 2011. Soon after her BSc degree, she received a scholarship to complete her PhD degree from the University of Arizona, USA. And soon after her PhD, she joined Intel USA as a process engineer. Currently, she is working as an engineering group leader in LTD, leading 2 engineering teams in process and manufacturing development. And as a group leader, she supports her branch groups in factories around the globe with decision-making, approvals for implementations after revisions, various dispositions in their manufacturing-related items, and the development work needs. According to the notable awards and honors that she has received during her academic and professional anecdote, she was the recipient of the prestigious University of Colombo Senate studentship for the student who has received the highest average at the first year examination in biological sciences in year 2007. Later on, continuing her excellence in academics, she has received multiple awards from the University of Arizona, including multiple teaching awards as the Distinguished Teaching Assistant from the Department of Chemistry of the University of Arizona, which is the highest TA award that can be given to a chemistry teaching assistant. And continuing the trend, she has also been the recipient of multiple awards at Intel, including 4 departmental awards for process development in multiple technology nodes in Intel D1 factory, the departmental award for implementing automation reduction strategy and automation improvements, departmental division award for outstanding achievement directing training videos, and also the Departmental Division Award for outstanding contributions to sustaining excellence in ASH area, recognizing high level of ownership and teamwork, just to name a few of her excellent awards. And without further ado, it is my great privilege now to invite Dr. Varuni Livera to talk to you about a journey from lab to a leadership role in the industry. So over to you, Dr. Varuni. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Actually, it is my absolute honor to present this talk to the E2 section in SLAS. And thank you for the invite. And I hope everyone is doing good. So let's go ahead and start. All right. I hope you can see my slides now.
Yes, we can see it, Dr. Varuni. It's actually, you can change the display settings. It might look better.
Okay. All right. Is it better now?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. All right, as Dr. Lahiru mentioned, so I'm going to talk about my journey from lab to a leadership role in industry. So this talk will be based on, basically just the fundamentals and the lot of the things that I learned during my journey. And I'm not planning on talking about how we make chips at Intel. If you're expecting that, you're in the wrong meeting. But anyway, so let's go ahead and start. So again, for the outline, I'm just gonna go over like, you know, getting used to a new role, how you can get yourself prepared and model for success, and some of the rules and so forth. And then let's talk about like my journey. I know like Dr. Lahiru gave like a brief introduction about it, but then so I really like this quote. You can't build a great building on a weak foundation. You must have a solid foundation if you're going to have a strong superstructure. So with that, I want to like, you know, memorize my journey, starting from my primary education all the way up to the advanced level. So I went to Amila Jeewandara, where I like got the my primary education. And then the Department of Chemistry, University of Colombo. So I got like my BSc degree in chemistry over there. So I wanted to like mention, especially at my school and also at the university level. So I truly believe I am in this position, or I'm here for any of my success, all the people, all the teachers, all the professors that I work with have contributed to where I am and who I am today. So just to like give you some more background at the Department of Chemistry. So I did like, you know, I was focusing on, I would say like the inorganic chemistry. I did my research project with like Professor Varuni Livera. Then after my degree, I actually worked as an assistant lecturer for a year under the supervision of Professor Rohini De Silva. And I wanted to say like all those extraordinary staff that we had, we are just blessed to have them. The technical knowledge that I gained, it's not just not the technical, but like all the other things I learned, it's like a big thank you to them. So I just wanted to like, you know, take this opportunity to like thank all of that, you know, the excellent academy we have in the University of Colombo and also on the other universities. So to be honest, as Sri Lankans, I'm also like a recipient of the free education, right? I had my, you know, like the free education all the way from grade 1 to advanced level. It's free education. And again, the undergrad education, that is also free. So I just wanted to point out for the students that we are just blessed to be in a country that the education is like a free thing for us. So I wanted to say, get the maximum use out of it. You are just blessed to have it. But sometimes, yeah, obviously, like you might like, you know, have to spend money on like different academic things. But again, just get the maximum use out of like what you have and what you're spending. And then moving on, I did my PhD at University of Arizona. Again, I had like the chemistry background over there. I did my research in basically like material sciences, X-ray crystallography, developing magnetocaloric material and luminescent material based on lanthanide chemistry. So then it's, yeah, I just like spent 5 years there completing my PhD. And I wanted to mention, even during my PhD role, I did like bunch of other stuffs. It was not just the PhD I did. I was a part of like a lot of like groups in the university itself, in the department and at the university level. I was a mentor for like international student association. So why I'm saying this is, so sometimes it's just not the academic background that you need to succeed in a role. So all the small things that you do, like all those extracurricular activities, actually like silently helps you to develop the skill sets that you need to succeed in your career. For example, working in a team, collaborating, respecting each other, you know, and being in an inclusive environment, diversity, that all of those things matters. So everything you do, sometimes, like, you know, it's just not the academic. It's like a lot of other things that actually makes you like a, I guess like a successful person in this journey. And then actually I did a flip after the PhD. I just got a job offer from Intel, technology development fab in Oregon in USA. So that was like a whole new thing to me. I haven't had any, obviously like the semiconductor background coming from my, like the research or, any of the other experience. I did not have internship or anything like that related to like semiconductor. So it was like very challenging at the beginning, but then again, to the date, I believe that I got the job because of like the other skills that I mentioned, right? Because in the industry, what they are mainly looking for is like, whether can you work in a team, can you collaborate with others, how is your personality look like? Because most of the times the technical expertise is something that they can train you on, but so their main focus is like the other skills, what we usually call as soft skills. So being strong in that soft skills matters. So that is kind of like my journey, just to summarize. Again, coming from, as Dr. Lahiru mentioned, I did not have any family background to pursue a career in the STEM field or like pursue engineering role at the end. So it was like all, self-motivated, but with a lot of support from the teachers and the professors and with their guidance, with their coaching. And obviously they set like great examples for us. When you look into them, you can learn a lot of things like what they are doing, how they get to that place and all that. So basically, like I would say the advice I can give you from my journey, follow your mentors, get advice, get coaching, and more importantly, like respect them and believe in them. They will like lead you to the, like the correct path, but at the same time, it's up to you. It's that you have to like, be self-motivated and go on this journey because you own your journey. So with that, the next slide is like getting used to a new role. So basically, as I mentioned, any new role it's going to be, tough when you started. Nothing is going to be easy. But one thing you can do is you do not have to hesitate to ask for help and be honest. So there are like 5 tips I'm gonna like present here that actually like helps me to survive and thrive in everything I did. So the first thing is what I call the awesome idea number 1 is observe and observe some more. So basically, when you're new to a job or like any role, right? Ask questions, understand what is important. That is like the first thing that you have to do. And then the second, the brilliant idea number 2 is like be likable and approachable. Especially if you are in, like a new setting, new role, maybe like new research group, right? New project, anything new, right? So you have to be like kind of like a people's person. That means like you have to respect each other. You have to talk to your colleagues, you have to talk to your mentor, and just be likable and approachable, as I'm saying in like the number 1 rule. Because if you don't have this, quality, you're not gonna like get help from anyone. And it will be like really tough. So the grand idea number 3 that I learned is be open and honest in accepting your mistakes. Because as humans, we all make mistakes. And so the thing is, you don't have to like hide that you make a mistake, right? So basically, mistakes actually like helps you to show your ownership and build the skills. Take it as an opportunity. Get the feedback from the expertise and take the responsibility. And when you do a mistake, what you have to do is just think about how what should I do to not to repeat it, right? What sort of changes I can make to, don't do any mistakes like that again. So learn from that and be honest and accepting your mistakes, but, overcome it with a great solution. The splendid idea number 4 is be self-aware. So basically, like you have to have an idea of where you stand. Basically, you should know what you know, and more importantly, you should know what you don't know. Because that's when you can ask for help. That's when you can, succeed in your career, succeed in your role. So basically, be self-aware, like just to know, like, what you have to do, what help you need. So just be self-aware about yourself. And Impressive idea number 5 I'm going to present is, to this date, be a lifelong learner. Because at any job, at any role, the learning is never going to end. It is a lifelong thing. And to this date, you know, we are all learning. I'm sure like your professors can talk to this. This learning thing is never going to end. So the idea number 5, the impressive idea number 5 I'm presenting is like be a lifelong learner. Right. So this basically like sums up, you know, like the few things that when you're, you know, getting used to a new role, what you have to do, how you can succeed, and it will get you to a, you know, successful path, and it will help you to like make the progress in your career. And then I wanted to present some models. So the first one I'm presenting here is actually what you call like the contribution cycle. So basically, like what this means is, there are like these 4 quadrants. So if you look into like a first quadrant A here, this basically like starting a new job or project. So this is basically your learning phase, right? You don't know that you're more dependent on like others. You need like advice. You're looking for your mentor to give you that feedback and all that, right? So the quadrant number B is gaining experience and the credibility. That means you feel comfortable in doing the job, but you become more independent. You can make your own decisions and so forth. So basically, this is like a kind of like a comfortable quadrant to be, because now at this point, you can manage everything by yourself, right? That you need like the minimum guidance at this level. So the quadrant C and D, quadrant C is like you're becoming like the expertise, but now you don't have anything else to learn in the that particular role. That basically like, you know everything about it. So this is kind of like a scary phase to be in, because this is when that you're kind of like getting, you know, I would say like lazy and basically like losing your interest, because you know it, you keep doing it repeatedly, right? So there's nothing to learn. And sometimes if you continue on to quadrant D here, that means basically, I mean, as I'm calling it here, it looks like a depression, right? Basically like you lost everything, that you don't feel motivated to do anything and all that. So if you feel like you're getting into this quadrant C, that you know everything, that there's nothing to learn, switch back. That means move back to quadrant A, go from there. That means start something new, start learning something new, right? So as I'm like pointing out in here, is careers best actually is like being in between this quadrant A and B. That means you keep learning, it's a new thing, that you gain the expertise and then you keep learning, right? So never get into this quadrant C or like D, because that will actually makes your life miserable. And you will lose interest, and you know, you will actually will not progress in your career. So yeah, so the contribution cycle here, especially like as I'm showing here, you know, like A and B, it's like the careers best for you to be in. So in here, this is like a slide that talks about like the different mindsets we have. So there's like the fixed mindset. Some people have fixed mindsets. Some people have like growth mindsets. But like the thing is, you know, you can change this. So the fixed mindset, if you have like a fixed mindset, that means you are afraid to like, you know, take challenges. That you always wanted to like look smart, and you wanted to avoid failures, and you know, basically that the people with the fixed mindset, that they will just stick to what they know. They are afraid to go to the next level, or they're afraid to take the new challenges. So the growth mindsets, they are like the curious people. They are, you know, they desire to like the continuous learning, and basically like, you know, they take challenges and they're not afraid. So basically, you know, as a student, basically try to have like a growth mindset. If you feel like you have this fixed mindset, try to walk away from it, right? Start taking challenges, start, you know, taking that risk, and, you know, explore the, you know, opportunities. And so this is like another, a very good matrix that actually I use. You can use this for like the academic and even for the personal life I'm using, right? So Eisenhower matrix. Basically, this is like a productivity and prioritization and time management framework, basically to help you to prioritize like the tasks in your life or at your role, right? Because sometimes that you feel like you work so hard, but you don't gain anything. And sometimes it's like you have so much things to do and you don't know what to do. And sometimes maybe at the end of the day, you feel like I did not do anything because you were just trying to like make that decision what to do. And you just, it becomes like really, I guess, that you basically like you get lost in your thoughts and you have no idea what to do. So if that ever happens to you, usually like, I actually have these metrics at my work desk because this is how I like, go through my emails and, go basically like how to, plan my day. So as it is saying in the Eisenhower matrix here, if you feel like something is important and urgent, that means you have to do it right then, right? That means it might have like the clear deadline. It has like a significant consequence. So you have to get those done first. And the important and non-urgent things, the second one here, basically like you can schedule these tasks for a later time, right? You don't have to like do them like right away. And then non-important, but it's urgent. So the delegation is that something that you don't have to do. That means somebody else can do it. Basically, that your expertise is not required for that work. So if that's the case, delegate that work. And more importantly, like I guess like some people, especially like I think I have seen this like among Sri Lankans. Sometimes we feel guilty or we feel not okay to say no, right? So you really have to like come out of that shell. Sometimes you have to say no, especially at the job or like especially at a given role. It's like if it is not important and not urgent, basically delete it. You don't have to like do that work because those type of tasks, it's actually distracting you and it's actually consuming your time and avoiding you from doing these other tasks that we are talking about in these other quadrants, right? So basically the advice here is like sometimes you really have to like learn how to say no, how to prioritize your things. And you can use this matrix as a guidance, like just look into the task and see, okay, now where does this fits in, right? And take the action based on that. And sometimes even like that it's really hard for you to like come to that decision. That's what's happened to a lot of the people actually, even like at the job role, right? Even as an engineer, sometimes that if you have like bunch of things, especially like the current role that I'm in, we are like a 24/7 factory, right? So the work is never going to end. So there's a lot of things that we have to get done. But again, as human beings, that you have to balance work with your personal life, right? The work-life balance basically, right? So you cannot do everything. So that is when this matrix should come into play. And to be honest, you can apply some of these into the personal life too. If I wanted to have a career development, that I have to change the company or I have to change the job. It's not true. And then this is like big questions that a lot of students ask, a lot of new people, a lot of like new engineers at my job, that they will ask me, okay, what is right for you, right? So the answer for this question is that nobody can tell you this. Your supervisor is not going to tell what is right for you, okay? As I'm telling you here, you're responsible for your future more than anyone else. But I will tell you like maybe like few things to help make this decision, to help like, decide what is right for you. Basically, one thing is determine your priorities. Basically, think about what matters most to you, right? If you're going for a job, basically, is it like the salary? Is it like the intellectual freedom? It is like the flexibility. Is it like the work-life balance? What do you want? So think about your priorities, what your main target is. And then think about like how you want to spend your time. Because when you're, going for a role, that actually decide how you're gonna, spend the day-to-day life, right? Right? So think about it, how you want to spend your time, basically. And know your strengths. Basically, what you're really good at, right? And can you manage the time if you're going for like this job? Do I already have like the skill set and all that? So basically, understanding about your strength, it helps to decide what is right for you. And factor in your personality. So obviously we are all diverse, right? We do have like different personalities. Some people actually like to work by themselves, right? They're very self-oriented. Some people that they actually like to work in a group setting, that they like that, interaction, and they like to like collaborate with others, and then they feel comfortable like working with others. And some people might not, right? So sometimes, this matters. And the thing is that there are jobs to fit into personality. Even in the industry, what we call is like the individual contributor. It's like they don't have to like interact with people as much. So yeah, if you're like someone like that, you don't want to like get disturbed by others, that you don't like that, like the I guess like being in the team collaboration, that you might still have like options. It is hard with the current, like the settings, because you really have to like work as a team in most of the cases, especially in the industry. But you can find like maybe like the best fit in those scenarios. And then the other advice is when you're deciding what is right for you, always think long term. Now, if you like going for this job, how is my 5 years or 10 years? Do I want to like migrate to a different country, or do I want to like stay here and all that? So think long term. But then again, always it's a good idea to keep your options open. That means that make sure like the other skills that you have, just keep polishing them, sort of things, right? Sometimes like you over the time, if you don't have any experience with certain things, that you will end up like forgetting about everything, right? So then you will actually lose your options to get into like maybe like a new job or new company and all that. So basically think long term, but again, keep your options open. But then the best advice is the best advice out of all of these is be true to yourself. Basically, like know what you want, and basically stay, like just you have to know what you're passionate about, right? Sometimes people, like especially in the academics, some people love doing research in the lab, right? They always wanted that hands-on experience, and they like they're really passionate about it, right? So that's, like respecting different religions will get you a long way. Okay, so workplace culture is one of the big things that we value. It's one of like the big values for us, like the respecting that culture. And career advancement, and also like in the big industries that we see like a lot more opportunities compared to like, I would say, for the compared to maybe like some of the academic stuff, that you know, there's like different like, you know, like the opportunities. Because if I just talk about like Intel, like it's like very broad, like a whole bunch of like areas you can get into, right? So the industries usually offer like broader career opportunities for you. And this one is again career development roles. Most of the people that they think the career development or like your development is like basically up to your manager or up to your boss. It's not true. Again, you own it, and then you have to work for it, right? You have to lead the process for your development. You have to start those conversations on, hey, like, you know, what is my next step? What should I focus on? You know, and then always like seek for like the real-time feedback. And also like seek for the opportunities, seek for like the, you know, that the things that you can do. As I'm like saying here, start with what is possible now, right? It is very important. And also as a manager, maybe as a mentor, that, you know, managers and employers are also a little bit responsible for this, because they have to like, you know, reach out to their maybe like the students or like the employees, ask, listen to them, ask questions and seek for the possibilities, and also sometimes help them explore and refine, right? And also like explain them like the reality, like, you know, like the goals, the company goals or like the project goals and all that. And then offering coaching, supporting, and the resources that we can do as like, you know, like the managers or like the employers. And then also like, you know, discuss it with your, you know, like the student or like with the employees, basically like what opportunities that they have, like what they will fit into, right? And yeah, so these are like, I guess like it's like the responsibilities can come with like both parties, but again, as the student or as the employee, you have to initiate that. You have to actually spend some time on this. And then this one is also like, you know, basically guide you through on how to have that career development conversation, how to have that, basically maybe even if it is not career, like a development conversation, right? So again, you have to do your homework, self-assessment and some pre-work that, right? You have to do that. If you're like go talk about the next step, for an example, if you wanted to go talk about like the next step with your mentor, you have to like, you know, assess everything that you have done so far, and then go talk about that critical next step, right? You cannot just go and ask, what am I going to do next? No, that's not going to work that way, because, you know, it will be really helpful for you to understand, even that you might not seek that guidance at that point, because when you are trying to do this self-assessment, you will yourself realize, okay, I'm missing this and this and that, right? So I have to get these things first before I go to the next step, right? And then seek to understand, this is mainly for like the employers, like basically like understand what is they're passionate about, what are their challenges, what are the roadblocks. So as a mentor or like as an employer, as a manager, how you can help them, right? And brainstorm possibilities together, right? Even at this level as a student and a mentor relationship, right? So you can like work it together, right? You come up with the solutions together and have like that, you know, successful discussion. And, you know, if you're the student, get your mentor involved, get your manager involved in the job, right? So brainstorm like the different possibilities that you can take to go for you to get to the next level. And then the second one is like create a plan, right? Always, this is very important. After you brainstorm the possibilities, if you stop it there, again, nothing is going to get done, right? So creating the plan is really important with the dates. Maybe like give yourself, you know, like the assignments, ARs, right? You know, okay, in 1 month, I'm going to do this, right? In 2 months, I'm going to do this. You might not meet the deadlines, but then again, at least you have like a plan, right? You know, like, you know, what to do and when to get there. So this will be like kind of like the last slide. Basically, Fridays for Future, actually, that this is like one of the, this is actually like a movement for like the climate crisis. But then I actually use this motto for myself. Basically, like why I call it Fridays for Future is Fridays are usually like the slow days. So I usually have like an allocated time in my calendar for me to like study something new, right? So this is like a very good advice for everyone, because when you're focused on like a job or like a project, you just keep doing something that you sometimes like hard to find time to learn something new, right? So you have to actually plan it out, right? Just maybe like just have some time for you that, okay, during this time, I'm going to learn something new. I'm actually going to focus on learning this thing, or I'm going to read about this, or I'm going to like, you know, do this thing. So yeah, so it's, basically like allocate some time for you, for your own growth, for you to learn something new every week. And it will get you like a long way. And sometimes this is something that most of the people don't do because they feel like distracted, a lot of work going on and all that. So they totally forget about that, like the future learning new things part. Again, list your most relevant strength and weakness for your current role and the career goal. And then again, think about like what actions that you wanted to consider to maintain and sharpen and market your uniqueness, right? And what other resources that you have, think about those. And basically like, just think about like, career development opportunities that align with your talent and passions and the organization. So I am listing these things because these might be the things that you don't spend time on. So I'm asking you to spend some time on these things, because this is important. Like, thinking about like the strengths and the weaknesses you have, again, like the actions to take and the resources you have, what sort of like opportunities you have, finding about them, and then finally, coming to that alignment. So make sure that you spend some time on this. So then I'm going to conclude my talk with this final slide, the big advice out of all of these that I wanted to give to the students. Basically, don't underestimate yourself. You're all talented, you got skills, you won't know what is possible until you try. And if you fail, don't accept that failure as the inevitable reality for all the time. So basically, after that, stay positive, keep learning, and keep trying. That is like the best advice I can give to you at the end. And finally, I want to give like a big thank you again to the E2 section in SLAS for having me today for this talk. And I wish you all the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Varuni. Indeed, it was a delightful presentation. You have actually opened I'm extremely sorry. Please excuse me. I'm experiencing some interruptions in my internet connection. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I just lost connection. So thank you very much once again, Dr. Varuni, for being here with us. And thank you very much for that delightful presentation, because I mean, these are not things that we get to hear often. So I'm sure that the audience was very fortunate to be here to listen to your motivational talk, most importantly. So, I mean, you are an inspiration to many. So I'm sure our students had a lot to learn from this presentation. But before we let you go, I know we have already taken a lot of your time, but if you would excuse us, we would like to entertain some questions. So if anyone in the audience has any questions, you may present your questions to Dr. Varuni now. So you may unmute yourself and ask your questions, or instead, you may actually post your questions in the chat option, or else you may just unmute and ask a question as I requested. So it's time for questions. So we do have a sizable number of students in the audience. So please, it's your opportunity. So take your chance, take the opportunity, and please feel free to ask any question from Dr. Varuni. So until we get questions from the students, I actually have a small question for you, Varuni, if it's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you spoke about personal branding, which is definitely something that's very, very important, especially in the professional arena. However, I mean, in Sri Lanka, you know about the culture. We come from a very modest culture, so not many people like to brag about themselves. So they sometimes consider branding in a very different way. So what is your opinion in that? I mean, you have told a lot about that, which is definitely valid. especially in the international arena. However, based on your experience in Sri Lanka, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, again, I feel like that we don't basically have it in Sri Lanka, right? I mean, basically, like people are afraid to, brand themselves, right? So I feel like that can actually, basically that you can overcome it by, I guess, like talking, communicating, right? Because sometimes even like if you are going for a job, like, you just sit back, right? You just don't say what you know, right? Even if you are in a maybe like an academic setting, right? You might probably know the answer, you might probably know how to do certain things, but you don't do that, right? So I would say when you have a chance, take the opportunity, right? So if somebody asks a question, hey, does anybody know how to do it, right? Sometimes maybe like in our culture that nobody wanted to like, volunteer, because people might think, oh my God, I don't know whether I know it 100%, right? So the worst thing that can happen is that you might know 100%, right? But then it's fine that you just have to be prepared to like, take that constructive criticism sometimes, right? If you like, don't know, but it's just like, having that, I would say like confidence to overcome that is what we have to like develop. And basically like speak up is like I guess like the best thing to like, that you have to do to promote yourself, right? Because most of the times we just push back, and you are afraid to tell what you know, right? I mean, most of the times, even like in the international settings, most of the Sri Lankans are so super talented, right? So that is like a one big thing that I see when I compare like the, I guess like maybe like the Asian students and Asian cultural people to the, like the these people, other people in US, like, from European countries and all that, they have that personality, right? They like volunteer themselves. They're more straightforward. They're not afraid to talk. That they have that mentality, like, because they are not getting, I mean, they don't feel down by others, right? So that having that mentality is really important, right? That if others laugh at you, so what? That because simply they don't care. So I think that is important, that having that confidence, no matter like what others things, and that at least that you can be happy that I try, right? So
Thank you very much, Varuni. I mean, that was definitely what I wanted to hear, because I mean, for something that's really lacking in our system is self-esteem. Most of the students, for some reason or the other, they don't really have enough confidence to speak up, especially in front of an audience. This is something that takes people a long way in life in general. So, I mean, the words of wisdom that came from you, I'm sure that will resonate a lot along their lives. And Varuni, I need to say that we have a very special person on board today joining us in this webinar. I'm sure you will be happy to see her. Professor Ramani, are you here with us?
Oh my God.
Yes, I'm here, Lahiru. Varuni.
Oh my God, madam.
Hear you. How lovely to see you. So nice.
I'm so glad to like hear your voice and just,
So happy to see you, and so happy to see what you have achieved and what you have become. Not surprising, though, I must say. Yeah?
Thank you, madam.
Thank you very much, Professor Ramani. I'm sure she's a very proud product of the University of Colombo. She is a very proud alumni of the University of Colombo. And as Dr. Varuni mentioned, she's proud of what she is. She is really proud of being Sri Lankan. So that's exactly why we invited her to be here with us today. So thank you very much, Dr. Varuni. And we do have time for a couple of more questions. If anyone else have any questions. Is there anyone in the audience with any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Varuni. I'm Sudat, and very nice talk. And I have a quick question. So as a group leader, you may found like both your employees introvert and extrovert, right? So if you find like extrovert person, that is fine. And then if you find that introvert person, so do you try to change their, their personality, or you use their talent as extrovert, introvert?
Yeah, so basically the best thing that the strategy that we use in the industry is we actually go with like the people with their skill set. I mean, usually as the manager that I identify, okay, what is this person is really good at, and I'm going to assign like some work for them. Because the idea about that is rather than me changing the person and the passion, it's very easy to use their own talent and get the maximum use out of it. So that is like the basic strategy, how am I going to get the 100% out of this person, right? How am I going to utilize this person's skill set is like the most important thing to me. So basically, instead of like changing the whole person, basically like finding like the correct fit for that person is like the strategy that I follow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sudat, for that question. Are there any other questions from the audience? Well, Varuni, one thing that I really wanted to highlight from what you have achieved is the change in the career, because you started your A-levels as a biological science student. Of course, just like many others, maybe you had the dream of becoming a doctor one day, but now here you are being an engineer, which is all the way at the other extreme. So that's definitely something that's very good, and not many people are open towards that in Sri Lanka. According to what we see in Sri Lanka, if someone studies bioscience, he or she has to end up being a doctor. That's the only career pathway that one would envision, which is very wrong, right? I mean, we should be open towards all the opportunities, which is what you have achieved today. So how do you see that challenge? Was it actually a challenge, or is it something that came as a blessing for you?
Yeah, I would say, okay, well, I don't think when I was in high school, well, I was always passionate about maybe like the mathematics, right? Maybe like had like a little bit engineering in me, but I was never planning on it, right? Going for like a chemistry degree and then, doing my PhD in chemistry. I never like imagine, to be honest, like ended up in like an engineer and all, but like the thing is, I was always open to the challenge. Again, as I mentioned in my talk, it was always tough. It's going to be always tough, right? But then sometimes having that mindset is like, that I can do this. It's very important, right? Having that self-confidence, taking the challenge, it's very important. It's just like, like, can I like do this, right? I mean, most of the times, some people are afraid to take the challenge because they think that you're alone. So the one thing I really, really believe in is, right, you have others to help you, right? And I'm going to get help if I really need it, right? So having that mentality was really helpful for me to succeed in my career. I got others to help me, that I can ask for help. And being confident, that being kind of like, self-aware that you have help. So the most of the times the problem with people is they are afraid to ask for help. And sometimes they feel like, oh my God, like, I cannot do this. Like, I don't know how to do this, right? But that's okay. To be honest, if you really talk to people, most of the people, right, I would say, like, I mean, cannot say maybe all the people are super nice, but I would say most of the people are really nice and they want to help each other. They want to like succeed together, right? So basically, I think like two things that I did was, I was open to accept the challenge, and I was not afraid to ask for help. I needed a lot of help when I started my career as an engineer, obviously, because I did not have any semiconductor background or any industrial background, right? I never have worked in, in an industry. And then obviously I did not have any engineering background, right? So, but I got like a lot of help, and I was never afraid of asking that help. I was never afraid of telling others that what I did not knew, right? So being like, telling them what you don't know and asking for help, you will be amazed how good people are, how others wanting to help you. Most of the times, the problem is that people come to a self-judgment, thinking that, oh my God, like I'm alone on this, nobody's going to help me, that I cannot do that. But that's not true. Sometimes you have to trust others, trust yourself and trust others.
Thank you very much, Dr. Varuni. That was exactly something that's very, very true. And I'm sure that will give guidance to many of our students, because I mean, we should be open-minded towards changes in career, just like what you did. And the wonders that it might do is beyond our expectations. So therefore, I mean, we should always try to take the opportunities, and just based on what we get, we should definitely try our best to do in whatever we do. So thank you very much for that answer, Dr. Varuni. And before I let you go, I have one small question, because the whole objective of organizing this webinar series is to actually provide the inspiration to our younger generation, because we have a lot of capable students in Sri Lanka. We have a lot of potential within our students in Sri Lanka. However, during the academic ladder, at some point of time, they tend to fall out due to various reasons. So we strongly believe that seeing people who have accomplished many things coming out of the Sri Lankan education system, just like you, will provide the necessary aspiration and the motivation for them to achieve their goals. So that's exactly why we have invited people like you to conduct these webinars. So before we conclude, I would really like to hear from your own words how the Sri Lankan education system and our culture has helped you to achieve your goals and what you have achieved today.
Yeah, so again, I guess like cultural Sri Lankan education, right? So the very big thing I wanted to tell you is like the free education, right? So I think we are all blessed to have that in Sri Lanka, right? I mean, most of the, you know, like the, you actually have the chance, and also like you have like the other opportunities if you cannot get into like that, you know, like the public university, you still have like the option to get into like a different institute and get that education, right? But one big thing is like the education, and like one big thing I wanted to say is like you might, as the students, until you maybe like go abroad, you know, for like higher studies and all that, you will have no idea like how talented you are. Basically, like the, I guess like the expertise that you are gaining, like you, like especially at the you know, like the university level, because that's something that I can easily compare to, from, you know, like the undergraduate education to the undergraduate education in you know, like the different countries, maybe in US, like, you know, in other countries. The academic excellence that we get, we are just fortunate to have such an extraordinary staff members, you know, like our professors, that what they taught us, the, you know, like the expertise that they gave us in the academic excellence it's like, you know, beyond the limits sometimes, that you really have to like value that. I guess even when I like got into my PhD, like most of maybe like half of the things I learned I already knew, right? Because I have already learned this through our education. So we really have like a very strong education system. So one thing that I wanted to like, you know, point out was sometimes maybe in our educational model that we don't focus on maybe like the soft skills as much. You know, we are very, I guess like academic, technical involved. So we like forget like the non-technical skills in the, you know, like the career. But that's something like as a, you know, like the student that you have to focus on. You don't have to like rely on your education system to gain those, right? As I told you, that can come from your hobby, like that can come from, you know, like some other things, like maybe like a part-time job, maybe like, you know, something that you do from the sports, right? All that. And also like a small groups that you have, different, you know, maybe like the voluntary work you do, right? So basically like focusing on those was important. As I told you again, you know, doing other things, it's just not the academic most of the time, right? And as a Sri Lankan, I think like one big thing for the, I guess where I am today was like the cultural aspects of it, right? To be honest, even like in the industries, the Sri Lankans are really, I guess like famous as like the good people, that wanting to help people. That is actually coming from our culture, right? I consider that was as a blessing, that that we respect each other, we value each other. We actually respect different, you know, like the diversities and all that. We are very welcoming culture, right? So even though you might not notice, it's like kind of given to you from your culture and from your, you know, like the nature. But those things actually matters, that when you're like working with like a whole diverse, different ethnicities, you know, that those things really matters. That that people would not say a Sri Lankan a rude person. Okay, because we are always like, you know, very nice people, that they see it in our culture. So that was like an added value, right? So those things, I think that was like a blessing as a Sri Lankan for me to get to this place. You know, like even though me not knowing that I had it already in me, thanks to our culture, thanks to our education system. And yeah, I think that's what I want to say on that one.
Thank you very much, Dr. Varuni, and I'm really happy to hear your words because as a proud Sri Lankan, I'm sure you will provide the inspiration for many more Sri Lankans to achieve wonders, just like you have done in life. We have actually taken a lot of your time. I'm sorry for that, Dr. Varuni. So without any further ado, it's now my great privilege to invite Dr. Dinusha Udukala, representing the Sri Lanka Association for the Advancement of Science, to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, Dr. Dinusha.
Thank you, Lahiru. It is my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks at this webinar on a journey from lab to a leadership role in industry. At the outset, on behalf of the Section E2 of Sri Lanka Association for the Advancement of Science, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our resource person, Dr. Varuni Livera, Group Leader, Intel Corporation, USA, for educating us with her knowledge. I'm very sure that the audience were very much interested on the information delivered, and we are all inspired by your great words. Thank you, Varuni. Then I would like to express my earnest appreciation to the General President and the Council of SLAS for allowing us to conduct this webinar. Next, I would like to extend my thanks to the members of SLAS E2 committee, especially the organizing committee, for the continuous support they have given to organize such a valuable and informative session. At last but not least, would like to thank everyone who participated for this webinar, and we hope to see you in the near future with another webinar under the webinar series of Sri Lankan Chemists in Focus. Thank you. Over to you, Lahiru.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dinusha. Once again, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Varuni for being here with us. In behalf of the Section E2 of the Sri Lanka Association for the Advancement of Science, I take this opportunity for being here and sharing your valuable thoughts with our Dr. Varuni. And last but not the least, I would like to mention that we do intend to organize many more events of this nature throughout this year. So please stay tuned. We'll be happy to have more people joining us in these activities. Unfortunately, as you can see right now, we are going through a rough patch. I'm sure that many people are experiencing power interruptions even right now. Even I'm experiencing a power cut myself. So therefore, that is why the numbers are low. So please excuse us for that, Dr. Varuni. However, with your permission, we look forward to put up a recording of this presentation up on SLAS YouTube so that it will reach a much wider audience in the near future. So once again, I would like to remind everyone in the audience that we look forward to your participation in our future activities. So thank you very much for being here. And I wish all of you the very best in life to take you to wherever you desire and to achieve your goals in life. Thank you very much. We will see you again in another webinar of this nature in the near future. Have a very pleasant evening. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam.